All right, I think we are live. Just waiting for Amazon to pop up here. There we go. And we're just going to pull up my chat room thing here so we can get that going. And yeah, we'll have some fun. I'm not going to be able to stream for too long today because I've got another call to be on. So we will be efficient, as they say. Give me 1 second, though. I got to find another title to drop in here. Where did it go? All right, we're going to do the other thing here. Just going to add our title that we like to use. And we'll drop that in, and then we'll start taking some questions and do our usual fun stuff. That is the plan. So it looks like people are starting to pop in. Adam Laus and Ayan are here, and B. Tababa is here. And what's interesting is both Adam and Ayan asked the very same thing at the same time. That is very interesting. All right, so we are good there. I just have to go get some notes off of my printer. I printed out some notes for the GPD Win Max. So we're going to shoot 2 unboxings. And I may not have all that much time to actually do more than that, but we'll see what we're able to do. And my printer just gave me an error here. I got to cycle power to it, unfortunately. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do here. I'll just look at my notes on the computer. So there we go. So yeah, so which I'm guessing you probably want me to unbox the Win Max first. But I think what I'll do is the iPad first, just because we're just getting started here, and I think people will be coming in a little later. So we're probably going to start with the iPad Air. I got this in the other day, and I'm interested in the iPad because there's a lot of consumer interest in the iPad. So this is the iPad and GPD. Let's make it a recording folder here. All right, there we go. And we'll save that. Okay. So, yeah, so this is the GPD Win Max, and we'll check that out. And then Max Stock brings up the fact that they now have, well, now my printer's printing, how about that? Max Stock brings up that November 10th, right, they announced the Apple Silicon thing. I just recorded a video about all the new different types of chips we're going to see on PCs. And I did not have the date of the event at the time I was recording the video, so I'm going to have to overlay something about that. And we'll see what comes up there. Monty's saying he's getting a stuttering video frame rate. Let me check what's going on here. If you're having trouble, go over to the Amazon feed, which you can find in the video description. If you don't mind. Let's take a look and see what's going on. I didn't pop into my control panel here. But the Amazon video has always been more consistent. So let's take a look and see. I'm watching my own stream here. Looks like it's doing okay on my end. So we'll have to see what that means. BB Garnett asks, yeah, I've been trying to find that Pi 200 because I saw a bunch of reviewers got it this morning. And I can't find it on Amazon yet, but I'll definitely review that one. That one's interesting to me. You know what's neat about that? It's the compute. So this is a Raspberry Pi. It's the same SoC, but they put it into a different form factor. I don't see it on Amazon yet. They put the same SoC into a different form factor, so it's an integrated keyboard computer, just like the old days of the Commodore 64 and everything. So I thought that was really neat. So yeah, I'm hoping to get one of those. So we'll check that out. Ion wants to know what the specs are of the Win Max. Well, when I go to unbox it, I will tell you the specs. It does have the Intel Iris graphics, so it's going to be a lot better than the prior ones. Although I did not unbox it yet because I wanted to save that for this video, of course. But I did take a peek. I didn't take it out of the box, but I took a peek. And it appears as though it is rather large compared to other handhelds. So be prepared. Be prepared for that. All right, so we're going to do the iPad first. I'm going to record some unboxings for the Extras channel, and then we'll do that. Max wants to know if I'm going to get a Apple Silicon Mac, and the answer would be it depends. So I'm not going to get an Apple Silicon iMac, but as you all know, on my desk here, let me get rid of the thing. It's all plugged in, so I have to be careful about it. But I use the 12-inch MacBook, which is my favorite computer, just for portability. And if they made a version, they have to make one that's in this form factor. And if they do that, I am totally in on those, no question. So we'll have to see what they announce on the 10th. I'm hoping they do that. I don't know if they will. I mean, I think it would make sense to make a Mac in that form factor, because I would be totally in on that. So we'll see what happens. Tulu Adam wants to know, or Tula, which is the best PC on Amazon. You know what is a really good deal right now is the Lenovo Flex 5, if you can find one with the AMD processor. They had one with like 16 gigs of RAM. It was really, I think it was a really good deal. So it's definitely worth checking that out. All right, so let's unbox the iPad Air real quick. Maybe I'll start with the overhead view. Yeah, that's better. And then we will unbox the GPD Win Max. Now the iPad Air, I got the 64 gig version. This has the A14 in it, just like the Apple Silicon Macs will have, although I don't think this is going to run as fast. And the reason is that Apple tends to they tend to throttle back their lower end devices even though they have the same chips in them. So we saw that with the new 10th generation iPad. It doesn't run as well as other iPads with the same chip. So just be aware of that. But this is a 10.9-inch device, and oh good, my keyboard is here. So we can see if my 11-inch keyboard works with it. We'll try that out real quick. All right, so let's do that real quick. We're gonna do an unboxing. I have my scissors here just in case, but I'm gonna put them down over here. And let's give it a shot. And I gotta check my email too, because I may have a call at 4:30. So I just wanna see what my time frame is on this. So bear with me here, everybody. All right, so far no update on time. Okay, so let's get to the unboxing. All right, and we'll go on from there. Flooded Sins wants to know if I voted already. Yes, I voted a couple weeks ago. And actually, it's good that I did, because now I am not technically quarantined, but my 7-year-old is quarantined. She had close contact with somebody. We're fine, they're fine, but there was a positive case, and so we've been contact traced, and my daughter is a contact, as they call them, or a contact of a case. So when you're a contact of a case, at least in my state, you need to self-quarantine for 14 days. So we're here. We're not leaving for 14 days. So I did vote absentee a few weeks ago, so I am good on that front. But no, we're fine. Everybody's fine. I think we'll be fine. No, knock on wood, no symptoms. I'm going to get tested tomorrow. Because it was the person that she was around had a mask on, but it was a couple of days of close mask contact. It was a school-related thing, so we don't know. You don't know. So it's a little more than just a casual. We ran into somebody somewhere kind of thing. So and it's over a couple of days of exposure. So we'll see how she does. I think she's going to be fine, and they're going to get tested on Wednesday. And I'm going to get tested tomorrow. And the crazy thing is, we have like a CVS, like the local CVS Walgreens. They do self-testing, but they don't do kids. They do 12 and older. So we have to wait for the free testing thing to come around here on Wednesday for my daughter. So that is that. Monty, do you have an Amazon link to the Pi 400? I've been looking on Amazon all morning for that thing, and I can't find it. So if you have that, email me at Lon@Lon.TV, and I will definitely get one, because I'm eager to try that. I think it's just cool. I mean, I don't know if it's that useful to have the computer in the keyboard, but you can always plug in a wireless thing or something to it. So there's that option. All right, bear with me for 1 second here, and we'll do the unboxing. I should probably look up the specs on this for the unboxing video. So iPad Air specs. I'm just going to pull it up on Apple's website. So it is a 10.9-inch display. This one weighs exactly 1 pound or 458 grams. And it's got the fingerprint reader and not the Face ID. And I'm just looking here, 10.9-inch display, A14. Yeah, so I think the new iPad Pro will have the A14X, which will be faster graphically than this will be. So we'll see how that goes. All right, let's get the unboxing going. And we'll see what happens. Yes, the Tech Nerd was telling me about. See, this is the other problem. So where I am down in Southern Connecticut, for the kids, there is no place to get tested that's not like nearby. So that's an hour and change to get up to Rensselaer Field. The closest one normally is about a half hour in Middletown. But tomorrow, Wednesday, they're having the one that does it in Middletown is coming down here because we've been getting some more cases locally. So that's how it's going there. Anthony wants to know, will I test the Apple Pencil? Yeah, in the full review, we will definitely test the Pencil. And this one works with the new Pencil, not the old Pencil. So be sure you get the right one. And we'll take a look at that. Yeah, Monty, if you have the link, just email it to me at Lon.TV and put it in the Facebook group too. That'd be great. I think everybody would love to see that. And yeah, I would like to get the link to that as well. David's Devices is here, a little late. Yeah, we haven't gotten started yet. We're just getting set up here. So I think I'm ready to go. And I'm on short time today, so let's get the unboxing going of both devices, and we'll go from there. We got a good crowd in now, so 200. So that would be good. All right. So yeah, but I do plan on definitely getting that little Raspberry Pi with the keyboard. I think that's going to be pretty useful for some of my stuff because usually when I get the Pi out, I got to put stuff, plug stuff into it. To have it all in like one thing is not a bad deal. Okay, let's do this, as they say. So let me pull I keep closing out my window of the tech specs for this thing. Recently closed. There we go. Okay. And I got the blue one. I thought the blue one looked really cool, so that's the one that I bought. And then one of you may own this unless my wife wants it. But she likes the little iPad. She doesn't like the big one, but I'll see if she wants it before I sell it to one of you. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and it's time for another unboxing. I recently picked up the new iPad Air. This is the iPad that is running with the A14 chip. As usual, I bought the lowest end one. This is the 64 gig Wi-Fi edition. And this is Apple's latest mid-range iPad. I'm sure we'll see an update on the iPad Pro shortly. We're going to have a full review of this coming up shortly. Now, I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure here, as I unbox this device, that I paid for this with my own funds. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. No one is paying for this unboxing, nor is anyone reviewing it or approving it before it gets uploaded. So here you go. Very nice, very lightweight. I have an iPad Pro 11, which feels very similar in size, but this feels a little lighter to me. This is 1 pound or 458 grams. If you have the cellular one, it's just slightly heavier, but barely noticeably heavier. And unlike the Pro, this doesn't have a Face ID sensor. It has a fingerprint reader that is integrated into the power switch here at the top. And we'll detail all of this stuff when we do the full review. But it came with a 93% on the charger already, which is great, so I'm sure we'll be able to get this thing up and running shortly. And if you're curious what this looks like versus the Pro, I will show you my Pro here. Let me just get my notifications off the screen here. And you can see the bezels actually are pretty close, so it does look very similar, but this one of course has the Face ID sensor and the screen is just slightly larger. What I'm eager to see here is if this keyboard case that I bought on my Pro will work with this. I'm guessing not because of the camera slot, but let's see if it's compatible. It does actually dock up. Huh, how about that? So let's see as I go through the setup process here if the keyboard will work with it. And let me just get something up here. Yeah, keyboard works. So the iPad Pro Smart Keyboard here will link up with the Pogo plugs here on the back. That's great. So I don't have to buy another keyboard to test that out. This also works with the Apple Pencil, and it's going to work with the newer Pencil, not the older one that I've got here. So you got to get the Apple Pencil 2, the more expensive one, for full compatibility. And it looks like there is a charging slot here on the side for that. This comes in a lot of different colors. I picked up the blue one. It's not as dark of a blue as I thought it would be, but it looks nice. It feels very nice. You got your 12 megapixel camera there on the back. And it looks like we've got stereo speakers and USB Type-C here at the bottom. Very cool. All right, let's see what else is in the box. There's been some, by the way, there's no headphone jack on this. I'm looking, so get ready for that. Let's go through the box here. There's been some controversy over power adapters not being included with the latest iPhone. The good news here is that you do get a power adapter here. This is a 20-watt charger, so you get a quick charge on that one. We'll talk about battery life in the full review. And you've got a USB-C to USB-C charging cable here. And then inside the little envelope here, we have the iPad Air startup guide. Gives you some basic tips to get going. You got your Apple stickers and, of course, all of your other warranty information there. And that is it for the unboxing. So stay tuned, folks. We're going to have more on this iPad. It feels nice. It feels like a slightly lower grade version of the Pro, but that's not a knock on it. It actually feels really nice for a mid-range product. And we'll have a full review of this with benchmarks and use cases and all that coming up very soon. So stay tuned for that. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching. All right. That is what I call a one-take wonder. That does not happen often. So there you go. And I'll tell you what, the A14 in here, so they're going to announce all these new Apple Silicon devices on November 10th. And this thing is going to have the same chip as those will, the same as the Mac, but it's not going to be the same performance. So you can't, it's unlikely you will be able to run Mac OS X on this iPad, just because the processor is not going to be tuned for that. But it's powerful. And I would not be surprised if this iPad Air outperforms the iPad Pro that I have, which gets me to thinking, do I need to keep that iPad Pro? Or maybe I sell that one and keep this one, right? So we'll see what the performance is versus the one I have already. But it was good to see that my keyboard case here is compatible with it. So that was a surprise. All right. All right, there we go. So we got that done. And let's go through my chats here, see if I missed anything. Yeah, we got to get that Pi 400 in here. That's something we definitely got to review. So Tech Nerd says, I hope she's okay. Yeah, my daughter's fine. No, knock on wood. You know, it's been a couple days now, no symptoms. We'll do the testing and see how she does. The kids typically do fine. And it's the older folks. You know, it's like my age group's okay. It's just my only apprehension right now is that we went to see my mother over the weekend, and we didn't do anything inside with her, but my daughter did go in at one point to use the bathroom. I masked her up, I was masked, so I think we're fine, but it's just, that's my only thing that I'm worried about. My mother is 71, 72, so, and she has a couple of, issues that fall into the higher risk category, so I'm a little nervous about that. And we'll see what happens. And yeah, this has been the other point that I've not been looking forward to about the testing. So the test that I'm doing is the one you self-administer, and it doesn't go up as far. So hopefully, hopefully I will get it to where they need it to be. I do well with invasive testing, provided I can do it. That's been my. And not every type of invasive test you get, you can do that. But this one I can. So that's why I went with the CVS option. And my daughter has to go to the other place because she's young. I'm guessing they're not going to do anything awful. So we'll have to see what they have there. Okay, so Monty's going to put a link in the Facebook group, everybody, for the Pi 400. So please do. That'd be great. All right, so now it looks like my vMix Social might be a little behind. Oh, I'm on the wrong page, that's why. Hang on a second, folks. Let me get caught up on vMix Social here. A lot of chats going on. I'm missing so many. I'm sorry, everybody. So Edwin Solis has a good question here. Yeah, you know what? I found, the other day, so tonight's video is all going to be about the increases in performance we've seen on processors. We're going to talk about the new Intel Tiger Lake. We're going to talk about what AMD has been doing. We're going to look at what Apple is doing and what Qualcomm is doing. And that's on tonight's video. And what's been interesting about it is that I ran that 3D Mark wildlife benchmark test the other day. And I was going, I think some of you tuned in for that. We were testing all these different devices I had laying around. And surprisingly, the iPad Pro, the one I've got down here on the floor, the one we just took out, that one on that benchmark performs almost identically to Intel Tiger Lake on a fanless ARM-based machine. And it doesn't mean that everything you're going to run will compete with Intel, but I think the things that most people do will be competitive on Apple Silicon. And that iPad has an A12X. So when we see the A14X that's going to be in these Macs, I think it's going to be surprisingly powerful. And that's why, like, if they have a 12-inch version of that, of a Mac with that, I am all in. Like, just take my money right now. Because I use a 12-inch Mac on the desk here. This is my go-to device. And then, not that I travel anymore, but when I did travel, I would bring this computer with me. And there was always like this trade-off of, okay, I'm traveling. Do I take the big, heavy MacBook Pro, or do I take the MacBook? And usually I would take the MacBook if I was going to New York City or something just for a night. So, you know, I could do a little bit of editing on it, but it wasn't great at that. But if I had to do something like CES, I would bring the bigger Mac with me. But if they develop a Apple Silicon 12-inch MacBook, it will likely be a decent video editing platform, at least for the kind of editing that I do. So that is, I'm really excited about it. Okay, so let us, and thank you, Monty, for the link. I'm going to try to get one of those things. Okay, so it's not up on Amazon yet, but it will be. I think because some of the reviewers today were linking to it. So I'll just try to buy this from wherever. I want a US keyboard complete kit. And I want to bring it to the United States. Okay, so it's got a list. Got it. Perfect. Well, I know where I'm going to get it from. And I will get this in. It's $100, not bad. Well, not everybody has it available yet, so I will make sure that I get notified. And we'll see what happens. I think there's a few stores that you are referencing that are not close to me. So I can't get to those. Because if I go into Massachusetts to one of those stores, I have to like self-quarantine for 14 days after. It's one of those crazy things. Oh, this one, they've got one here already. Hang on a second. Just give me a minute. I'm going to buy one of these right now. Because I have a place where I can get it, like right this second. So let's get one of these. And no thanks. They're trying to do the upsell on me. All right. Bear with me, folks, for 1 second. I'm just going to order one of these, and then we can continue onward. So I'm going to fill in my address here. Here, why don't you look at this box while I work on that real quick. $16 for shipping. Oh, my goodness. All right. You know, the price I pay for all of you, I'm willing to do that. And we'll fill in. I know this is something, like, anytime when like a bunch of you pop in and say, hey, did you hear about this? That means I got to get one. Like, nobody popped in to say, hey, Lon, did you get the iPhone yet? Because as you saw from the video, like, that was not a very highly performing video that I did. All right, put that in. All right, let's submit. Okay, the Pi 400 is ordered. So thank you all for the tips on where to find it. It is coming, whenever. I hope it's soon, because I'm very impatient. Although you would not believe how much stuff I have over there I got to review. It's going to be a very busy month. Okay. So now let me pull up my notes on this. D-Dub says, order me one too. Yeah, you get a Pi, you get a Pi. I will try. They should send me a bunch, because like I would love to give out Raspberry Pis like that. I would like to be like Oprah and just hand out goodies all day long. You know, I do donate a lot of stuff to the school. Loves me because I always have stuff for them. Actually got a pile for them now, as a matter of fact. Okay, so I've got this. All right, so now this is going to be interesting. So if you've not heard of GPD, I should probably save this for the recording, but GPD makes awesome, awesome devices, and they make like really high-end stuff like this, and they also make lower-end things like this. Now this is the GPD, what do they call this one? The GPD XD Plus, and this is a little Android handheld, and it's a great little emulation thing. You can play games on it. You can do whatever. And let me just update the Amazon thing here. So it's not that expensive. It is very fun to play with, and it performs pretty well. It's got one of those rock chips inside. It's good for like Dreamcast and back. Really good. So they make these things, which are pretty affordable. I think these are like $200 or something, or $180 or something like that. And if you're into emulation, this is like the best thing to carry around with you. I love it. And I set up like a little synchronization thing, so it syncs up my save games with my other Android devices. It's pretty cool. Although I do most of my retro gaming now on the Mister, but nonetheless, good stuff. So now, on the other side of the equation, they make some higher end stuff, and this is. Let me pull up my notes here. This is a PC that's in handheld game format. So it will play PC games. And they had released a couple of iterations of this in the past, but they've never been all that powerful. And this kind of relates to tonight's video also, because this one has a 10th generation i5 chip with the Iris Plus graphics on board. And as we've seen, it's not as good as the AMD Ryzen 4000 series, but it's close to the point where, if you're at 720p or something, you can play GTA 5 and many AAA games. So it's on the lower end, but it can do it. And this is something you can carry with you. So we're going to have a review of this soon. What I'll do is have Jake come and pick this up and do all his stuff on it, but I wanted to unbox it and gauge the interest of the viewers in this device. And there's a couple other little surprises on this that you'll see when we get to the unboxing. So that is what we're going to do now. Oh, yeah, I have a scratch on this table here. So I think this is going to trick a lot of people into, so Monty says the table here made him think that there's a hair. Yeah, it's just, I can tell you exactly what did this too. We got in, I think it was that big, heavy, fireproof NAS device, and when I put it up on the thing, it scraped there. It's pretty crazy. And it's my IKEA table. So one of these days I'll get a fancier desk. And it looks like Rob has the same issue. So this is good. This could either be something distracting or something that like gets people's attention. We'll see what happened. William's wondering if he puts in, yeah, you should not void a warranty. You won't void the warranty if you install memory or hard drive. But just be careful. Make sure you turn it off and all that good stuff. So there you go. All right, let's take this out of the box. And we're going to start the recording. And yeah, this will be a fun one. And I've been waiting for this. I saw them at CES last year. And they said, it's coming. We're still working out some of the stuff. I really wish they went Ryzen on it, but I understand probably why they didn't. They're very, Intel, like they know their Intel stuff. And one of the other things you'll see with this is that they are exceptionally talented at hardware design. Like if I had $1 billion or more, not that they're worth this much, but if I had $1 billion and was going to acquire a bunch of tech companies to build an empire, like these would be the first acquisition, because these guys really know how to make PCs in a very specialized way. And they have a real quality level that I have not seen before. And they found a good niche. What they do is they crowdfund it, so they get enough to cover their cost of development, and then they release it at retail. And it's about to go retail. Now, what I would love to see is if they're going to go to a Tiger Lake chip at some point, because then you would have a handheld GTX 1050 essentially in performance. That's not what this is. This is the prior generation. Okay, so we're going to record this, and then if you miss the recording, you can watch it on the Extras channel in the next couple of days. Let's see where we are at on time. I am at half hour. Okay, so we got another half hour. Okay. Are you ready? It's here. Look at it. It's beautiful. Okay, so let's get it going. Yeah, this flew in from Hong Kong, I think, or Shenzhen, one or the other. Came in the other day. It did not have to quarantine, although I would have to. Okay, here we go. And Bungalow Bill has the XD Plus. Yeah, that's what I got too. I like the XD Plus. I use it quite a bit. And by the way, the XD Plus is great for game streaming too. Now, here's what I'm looking for, and we'll get to this when we start. The other thing that I'm looking for, I know I'm dragging this out, aren't I? My biggest complaint against their controller design is that the controllers are awesome. They even have micro switches on the shoulder buttons. But the sticks don't click on these things, and they instead map it to a button, which makes it really hard. Like if you wanted to hold down the stick and move, you have to hold, you can't really do it. So that's been my big gripe. Okay. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we've got a very fun unboxing today. This came in from GPD, and this of course is the much awaited Win Max, which is a handheld Windows PC. And what's unique about this one is that it's running with a 10th generation i5 processor. It's got an i5 1035 G7, and it's got the Iris Plus graphics, which we found in the past to be able to run some decent games at lower resolutions and at reasonable frame rates, usually around 30 to 60 frames per second. And we're going to unbox it here, and then we'll get to work on it and have a full review coming up very soon on the main channel. Now, I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that this came in free of charge from GPD. They often send us their new things as they're working on them. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. They are not paying for this unboxing, nor are they reviewing it or approving it before it gets uploaded. So here is the main unit, and let's take it out of the bag here. Now, the retail price on this is going to be about $885 or so, so it's a little on the pricier side. But one of the things that I've found with their stuff, even though it is on the pricier side of things, is that the design and just overall fit and finish is usually really nice, and this will probably be no exception. Now, it's a lot larger than I expected. Here, let me give you another angle on it here, so you can see just how big this thing is in my hands. It is a bit heavy, but not too heavy. The controller feels great, and the big change on the controller that they haven't done in prior devices is that the sticks now click. And if you have been a fan of GPD as long as I have, you know that their prior devices here would map a button off to the side of the stick to replace that clicking function. And this one, thankfully, has clickable sticks, which is awesome. It's got a nice big keyboard here, almost full size, kind of chiclet size, but probably one of the bigger keyboards I've seen. There's a touchpad here in the center, which is nice. And again, you get the i5 with the G7 Iris graphics. This has 16 gigs of RAM on board, so it's decently configured. I don't think you can upgrade the RAM, though, although there is some options for upgrading the storage. It has some M2 slots on it, and maybe we'll take it apart in a minute and see what's inside. Let me see if I can power it up and see if there is any juice in the battery. So let's find the power switch. There it is, right on the top. So we'll see if it comes up here. And yeah, so it's a lot bigger than what we've seen before. Now the display is an 8.2-inch display, or 8-inch display, running at 1280 by 800. And although that's not like a 1080p display, at this smaller size, I think it's going to look fine. It's very similar to the resolution of maybe the Nintendo Switch display. And what's good about that is that I think that's a good pairing for the processor inside, because we've seen in prior reviews that the G7 on the 10th generation Intel chips can do pretty well running, again, games like GTA 5 and others at 720p at decent frame rates. So that is not a bad sign. We're going to have to put this on English here for the Windows 10 installation. This is brand new, of course. I just got it in. Let's take a look, though, at the ports as it's starting to boot up here. There she goes. We have a full HDMI output here. You should be able to get a 4K display. Let me silence her real quick here. There she goes. Okay. There we go. We have two USB 3.0 ports. We have a Thunderbolt 3 port on the back here. So what you could do with the Thunderbolt port is you could dock this to a GPU and then make use of the i5 processor for the computational side of things, and then offload the graphical stuff to the GPU. And I've got one of those here. Maybe we'll try that out in the full review. It looks like you've got another USB Type-C port next to the Thunderbolt port, and I believe both of these can be used for charging. On the left-hand side here, you've got a switch for going back and forth between mouse mode and gamepad mode. On this side, it looks like we've got gigabit Ethernet and a micro SD card slot. Now, this is not a fanless device because it is running with one of those i5 chips. It's got a lot of cooling on board. One thing I found with these folks in the past is that they do tend to do a pretty good job cooling their little PCs here, so I think we should be okay there. And yeah, it does feel a bit large. It's going to take some getting used to, I think, but overall, not bad. So let me get this thing set up to a point where I can safely pop the case off the bottom, and we'll be right back and see what's inside. All right, that was a good take also. So let me take a look and see what you're asking about here. Tech guy wants to know, any idea of the RRP? I am not sure what you mean by that. I know the TDP on this is 15 to 25 watts on the TDP, if that's what you were asking. Tech guy Coolio wants to know if there's any relation between them and B-Link and Minisform. I don't think so, but you know, I think there's a pretty small circle of these companies. So I'm wondering if they must like share some talent or something, right? I did find that with like 8BitDo, this thing's really big, by the way. I did find with 8BitDo that they work closely with the analog guys, you know, so there is some synergies, I'm sure, there, because I can't see the market for these little PCs being that big. And I'm just trying to get through the rest of this stuff so I can pop the case off the bottom. I'm just trying to figure out where the M2 slot is. I'm guessing it must be underneath the cover. They used to provide like a slot on the bottom for that stuff, but all right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn this off real quick, and I'll configure it later. Let's wait for the blue light to go off. There it goes. Okay, so let's pop the bottom off of this thing real quick. Then we'll unbox the rest of it. There is a manual in here, so let's see if it's got some advice on the English side here. Let's take a look. I'm just trying to see what we can take apart safely. So I'm always trying not to break things if I can avoid it. And activate the mouse. Specification. Okay, so it looks like we may have to take out the old screwdriver and poke around here and see what we get. You knew this wasn't going to be a quick one, right? But isn't that cool? It's got Thunderbolt on it. I think that's awesome. And as big as this is, I did see that Alienware thing when I was at CES, and it was about the same size as this. So I think there's probably some limitation in exactly how big you can make something like this. Now let's hope I don't lose the screws. I didn't take out my magnetic screw holder because it's on the other side of the room. And I was assuming, probably wrongfully so, that there would be a slot on it like the old one. But so far these screws are coming out real easy. So lots of good questions coming in. Rob Hanks is wondering how it will perform with emulators. Yeah, I would say it. You know, what I've found with these things is that they have tuned them in a way that they tend to get the max performance out of the processor they choose. So I've never seen one of these not perform to the full potential of whatever Intel processor they paired up with it. And the last one we looked at from them was like this little pocket computer. It was really cool. I think I still have it in the back. I have to check. It was like one of those IT computers that you use for, you know, plug it into your routers and stuff. Like it was super small, but like running with I think it was the Gemini Lake chip, and it was really nicely performing. Okay, so let's see if this case comes off easy or we have to get the spudger out. We have to do the spudger. I'm not sure where it separates. Yeah, we're going to have to spudge that. Let's get the spudger out. Make sure we don't lose the screws here. I am on the verge of of rushing, which I don't like to be doing. So I have another call coming up in a little bit. But let's see what's in this thing. Isn't this a cool, unique design, though? And I think you'd have a hard time, maybe not so much anymore, I don't know, but you probably would have a hard time finding a market for something like this on, you know, like if Dell were to make it. Now remember, Dell does have that Alienware thing that they've been talking about. I got to get another spudger thing. Let me go grab my toolbox. And the one thing with these, and this is not a slam on them, I think the one thing that they do very well at GPD is I've found that their products have very tight tolerances, you know, as far as how things come together. So this one is really tight, which is good. You want it to be tight. So let's get the little spudger thing in here. Yeah, it's starting to come apart now. These are good little spudgers. I got these, there it goes. I got these from iFixit. The problem is it's like the little guitar picks, and they're super thin, but they break super easily. There we go. Get around the corner here. There we go. It's starting to come apart now. I'm hoping it's supposed to do this. Because the assumption was, in reading their materials, was that it had, I think it had 2 M2 slots on it. So you could expand the storage. But it is super tight. Like I said, I think that's a good thing. These guys, like I said, when they make hardware, they really do a good job putting these things together. And again, I don't like forcing things, so we're going to be real careful here. Especially given that this is a live stream and there's a good potential for disaster. Yeah, it is like super tight in there. Wow, okay. We're making progress. There's some antenna wires like really close to the edge here, so I want to be really careful about that. Let me get it from the other side and see if we can get in underneath the... There it goes. Oops. Oops. I don't think there's any screws in the middle. Okay, we got that one, and then this one came back down again. There it goes. Yeah, it's coming up. Yeah, so I mean, you got, and like this is hard, and that's good that it's hard because like this is super well designed. It is really, it does not want to come apart. And you might criticize that, and I think there's probably grounds in some cases to be like, well, it should be easier to take it apart. But it shows you that there was a lot of effort put into making sure that the molds and the tolerances are tight on this. I may have to write to them and see if we can get into this more easily. I really don't want to risk breaking anything. Because as soon as I get one end up, the other end like reattaches. So it's super tight. Ah, just comes right back together again. Yeah, it's not giving up the ghost here. So I hope it doesn't give up the ghost. I just want its grip to be loosened up a bit. Yeah, I don't think there's any stickers, screws. Oh, maybe I see what you're saying. Maybe under the feet here. Yeah, it could be. You know what I'm going to do? Let's take a look under this one here. Yeah, it does not look like there's anything under this foot here. But you know what I'm going to do? I may not do this right now because it does not appear. And I just want to make sure like the thermal system is not pasted on the back of it. I don't think it is. Because I don't see any place where you would put the hard drive in otherwise. I'm going to check their website real quick too and see before we break something. I don't like to break things before I review them, you know, afterward maybe, but this thing's too nice to break. So let's go check out their website real quick. Under that sticker bottom center. Yeah, no, there's nothing under this sticker here. Definitely not. It's just a transparent sticker. Oh, oh, I see. Oh, yeah. Okay, yep, you're right. You are correct. There is a sticker under that. There sure is. All right. So I'm sure I'm breaking some warranty thing here. Yep, there is a screw in there. Hopefully I don't strip it. All right, that seems to be loosened up now, so let's see if that makes a difference. And it put itself together pretty good here again. But that was definitely holding it down there for sure, so thank you for that. That's why it's great to do these live streams, because everybody can tune in and see where we're at. And this screw is like in there. I have a magnetic screwdriver here, but it doesn't want to come up with me. Good news is it is loosened up, so it's not like getting stripped here, but I'm having a hard time. By the way, the top part here is metal, aluminum. All right, let's see if we can work with it loosened up. But yeah, it's not as easy to upgrade the storage as the old one was. The old one you could just take, there was a little slot in there, and you could just get into it super easy. Okay, so now we're coming across the front, and hopefully it's be easier now to separate everything. Yeah, it's coming up easier now. There we go. All right. Woohoo! Thank you to, who gets the credit for this one? Yes, Acrid gets the credit for that. So thank you for your assistance. And did I miss a screw here? No, those two are up. I wonder if it needs a, oh my goodness. Okay, so yeah. Here you can see, kind of see inside. So I think there are two screws on the back, yeah, that this is fastened into. So let me get those out. See, now we're getting into the like, oh boy, you know what I mean? Like we're starting to take apart half the system, and that's making me nervous. So you can upgrade this, okay, there we go. Woo, this thing is tight. Tight, 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 tight. Oh my goodness. All right, so, and I don't want to get anything wrong here. So this one's got a 512 gig drive on it. Let me kill the, and the battery is here. So the battery's on this side there, and it flops back down in there. Now I thought they said there were two NVMe slots on here. All right, let's go to the to their website. I just want to see what the slots are. Make sure I don't miss anything. Okay, so it is just the single slot. Okay. All right. So let me zoom the camera in slightly. And we'll shoot the next part here. I better not lose those screws. Where'd they go? Oh no. Oh, they're on. Okay, they're both attached to the screwdriver. Okay, okay. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we got the bottom case off of here. The battery is in the case here on the back of the outer shell. And then inside we've got 2 cooling fans, and we'll take a look and see how well it can cool the thing off when we do the full review. Now, the one thing that you can upgrade here is the NVMe hard drive. This one has a 512 gigabyte drive in here. I'm assuming that's NVMe. Let's see, we should be sure about that. Let me just double check. Oh, it's okay. So it is both. It'll do PCI. It's a PCI 3 PCI 3 X4 or SATA. But I'm guessing this has got to be an NVMe in there for this price point. And you got to be careful because the antennas are right on the side here too, right on the bottom. Okay. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we got the bottom casing off of here, and if I don't drop everything, you can see they put the battery here on the back of the outer shell, and then we've got the 2 cooling fans for the processor. We'll take a look and see how well its thermals do in the full review. These guys have always been really good with cooling, but you'll have to put up with some fan noise, of course. This looks to me like an NVMe drive, and this is the one upgradable thing on this computer. You can't upgrade the RAM, but you can upgrade the drive. This is a PCI Express X4 slot, so you could put something else in there, but of course you've got that Thunderbolt, so I think you could do a lot more with that. So that is the inside. I'm going to put this thing back together now, and then we'll see what else is in the box. All right, so let's put that back together here. And make sure I get it all back in the right way. Yeah, they don't want people going into this thing. That is clear. Probably a good reason to keep people out. All right, so let's get the screws back in. I'll tell you what, I always get nervous doing this stuff because when you're all watching, it could be disastrous if something goes wrong. And usually on this channel, it usually does go wrong, doesn't it? All right, we're just going to get this screw back in here. It's nicely designed, though, isn't it? I mean, you have to, give these guys credit. They know how to make a PC. But these things have always had, it just feels, I mean, it's heavy. It feels, it feels like it's well designed. I just don't know. It's a lot bigger than their old one. So I think that might be one turnoff for some, just the size of it. But if you look at, and I held the Dell one, so I've played with something else similar to this, and the Dell one was like the same size, very big and bulky. Okay. Akron says the first NVMe is populated in the center, the second is to the right. Oh, did I miss it? Well, I'll take a look. Let me look at the recording real quick now, because I don't want to go back in there. I feel like I've accomplished let me just play back the thing real quick here. This is going to be the iPad Air unboxing. And this next one is the GPD Win Max unboxing, part 1. And this is, I assume this is part 2. Let's take a look. So I'm just going to play back to that spot just so we can see. But you'll have to put up with some fan noise. So it's off to the right-hand side? Is that where the other one is? Where the Wi-Fi antennas are. Did I miss that? So it's on the Huh. I should take a look here and see what slots it has. 'Cause it looks like on the specifications, I only see one slot here on the, let's take a look. Yeah, it's got a 512 gigabyte M2 SSD. I think it's only got one slot. Yeah, somebody else can look it up real quick and make sure I'm not crazy. All right. Tula Adam, I already told you the best PC on Amazon is I think right now is the Lenovo Flex 5. That one is the best deal. I'm not sure what it's selling for now, or if any are in stock, but I think that one is the one to look for. And now, oops, that screw did not go off the screwdriver. Get in there. Just going to screw this thing back together, and then we'll finish the unboxings. There's still some more stuff in the box. And that screw does not want to leave the screwdriver. Get in there. That is weird. So the screw's not getting stripped. It's just not getting into its... let me start down here and see if I can get these screws to align themselves a little bit. That one's good. Okay. You know what? Some of these are different lengths, too. Ugh. I had to do that, didn't I? Ugh. See, I should have... There we go. I should have used my magnetic screw holder, because that allows me to put everything in the right spot, and I was rushing, and this is why you never want to rush these things. Do not follow my example. Okay. And let's put the screws back in here. Yeah, so tonight's wrap-up is actually going to be very much related to the two things we just looked at, because the reason why we're able to get really high-performing devices like this is because of the developments that Intel makes. Yeah, those, by the way, thank you, Roman. Yeah, those two short screws, I did put those in first, because those were the two I didn't want to forget about or lose. Because those were definitely the ones I was worried about. Yeah, it looks like the two long ones go in the back end there. And it's funny, I think like the YouTube feed is about 20 or 30 seconds behind me. So it's funny is I'll be like struggling with something, and then I'll figure it out, and then like about half a minute later, I'll see it on the chat. But thank you all. Please do never hesitate to give me tips and pointers, because I do not know what I'm doing most of the time. And the reason why I like to do these live streams is because most of the time the people watching are much more adept at this stuff than I am. And so I've always liked the fact that part of what I enjoy about what I do is that I'm always learning as I go. I learn what's important to all of you, and I learn about things that I didn't know about before. So the keyboard's really nice on this. It's actually something that I could type on, believe it or not. That's really nice. And the sticks are clickable, which is awesome. All right, so we're done with that. Whew. I feel like I did some work today. So we're going to go back now to the box. And Roman makes a good point here also. He says the most nerve-wracking thing is that there aren't other videos. Like I'm the first going in blind. Yeah, I probably am one of the first. I'll have to check. You know, it's funny. I see these guys, and I'm not going to see them this year, at CES every year. And they were really excited about this. And they showed me some preliminary things that they were working on before they had fully announced this, and I said, "Oh, this thing's going to be awesome." I was hoping it would be AMD, but I think they're very comfortable with Intel, and that's with designing around Intel devices, so that's what they went with. All right, so I got some schmutz on here. I don't know where that came from. I'll get that off of there. Okay, so we're just going to we'll pick up on here, and I'll say we got this done. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, we're able to 3, 2, 1. All right, we were able to get it back together again. By the way, one tip for you when you're taking this apart yourself, there is a screw under the warranty sticker here. I'm guessing that'll probably void your warranty, so be careful with that. And then there are two shorter screws here on the back that hold it all together. So you want to undo these two and then all the other ones here on the bottom. I did need a little spudger to get it separated because one of the things that these guys do very well is really tightly design their products. There's very little tolerances let me start that again. 3, 2, 1. All right, we got it put back together here again. One tip for you, actually two tips for you on taking it apart. The first is you want to make sure that you get the screw that's underneath the warranty sticker here. I'm guessing that might void any warranty, so be careful with that. And then the two on the back here keep everything held together. So you want to get those two off the back, this one in the center, and then all the other ones around it. I did need a little spudger to get everything separated. They're very good at their design, and things really are tightly snapped together. So you should be good to go when you have all that done. So we're going to come back to the main unit in our review, but there's more stuff in the box. So we have our little instruction guide here. So it starts off with the Chinese version, and then the English one is on page 24. And there's a few other languages here as well. And then we've got what's probably the power adapter. So we have our USB-C cable for power delivery. And then we've got the power adapter. And this is, of course, a USB-C power adapter. And it looks like it is 20 volts at 3¼ amps max. I'm guessing that's probably, what, about 45 watts, give or take. The thermal profile of this, so it might be maybe a 60-watt power supply. The TDP on this is 15 to 25 watts, according to their specifications. So there you go. That is the GPD Win Max, and this is going to be now put through its paces. We're going to do all of our analysis of it to see how it works, and then we're going to have a full review soon on my main channel at Lon.TV, so you can see exactly how this thing performs. We've got a lot of stuff to try out on this, including the eGPU and all the games that we may want to run on it, and I think we'll probably see some pretty decent performance. If you're curious as to how you think it might, I think I'll stop right there. Let me go back to, I'm going to cut it at performance. Oops. Bear with me here, folks. Sorry, I'm just logging my clips here, and then we will finish it up. Part 4, cut at performance. Just bear with me for 1 second. I just want to add this to my playback stream, just to make sure this works. And then I've got to be on a call in about 40 minutes or so. 3, 2, 1. All right, we got it put back together here again. Full review soon on my main channel at Lon.TV, so you can see exactly how this thing performs. We've got a lot of stuff to try out on this, including the eGPU and all the games that we may want to run on it. Okay, so we'll cut it at games we may want to run on it. That's what we'll do. All right, let's go to that. Yeah, this one will be one of those ones we got to spend some time on. But I think they made the right choice on the display. I may comment a little bit about that. Oh, it's starting up already. 3, 2, 1. And I think it's going to do pretty well with the games that we're going to test on it. We've seen on other Iris Plus devices like this one that you can usually get some decent frame rates at the lower 720p level resolution, which is what this display is at. But it looks pretty nice, and again, we'll have some more detail on this very soon, so stay tuned for that. Until next time, this is Lon Seidman. Thanks for watching. All right, I can live with that. So we're going to add that to my clip list here, and then maybe we'll try to get something installed on it real quick. 5, inclusion. I have to get it into my Windows account and everything, so we'll do that, maybe throw Steam on it. And Cortana is here to help me, as she always is. She's so helpful. So there we go. Hang on one second, folks. I got a bunch of stuff to log into here. I got logged out of my Google account. And it's going to check my other email to see what the time frame is. Okay. All right, so there we go. Okay, so let me go back to the device here. Okay, so I got to just go through my region setup stuff here. So we'll do that. And then I'm going to have to log into I have a little test account that I use for my Windows devices. And we'll skip the second keyboard layout. Yeah, it's kind of a neat little design. It's kind of like a mix of something handheld but something useful. So the numbers are really tiny on this. So that's the one thing I'm noticing out of the gate is that you've got these really tiny numbers. So you can't like quickly bang in numbers on it and stuff. But that doesn't seem like a deal breaker just yet for me. And I'm going to plug it into power. Maybe what we'll do is we'll run that quick little benchmark that we've been running, the 3D Mark one. So I should be able to download that pretty quick. And I could do that within the time span that we've got. Mark wants to know, do they not mind? Yeah, generally, I don't know if they want, I think they may be, I don't think they want this one back, but there is some risk involved when you do take things apart. So in the case of like the Dells and the Lenovos, those do go back, and there is some concern that I might break them. What I've been doing is I look and see if notebookcheck.net had done anything first with it, because then that'll guide it. Because most of the time what I'm trying to do when I take these things apart is not necessarily show what's inside, but to answer the question, is anything upgradable? And so if I found that Notebook Check or somebody took it apart beforehand, I'm having a hard time getting on my Wi-Fi here. If Notebook Check or somebody took it apart beforehand, then I know that I've got enough information to tell the viewer. But if I don't have that, then I'll usually take it apart. One thing Lenovo's really good at is they have, this thing's not liking my Wi-Fi for some reason. Let me just plug it into the network. Lenovo's got for most of their products, they have a good repair manual that takes you through the entire disassembly process. And generally in there, you'll see if it's got it. So usually, like taking it apart is the last resort. But I know people like to see what things look like inside, especially like a specialty thing like this. All right, let's plug this into the power. I'm going to probably, does that charge it? Let's see. Yep. I'm going to probably just connect it to the Ethernet because it's not connecting to the Wi-Fi. And I'm wondering if maybe it's on, I've seen this happen before, like it's on some certain countries have different frequencies that they operate Wi-Fi under, and this might be one of the ones that doesn't work. So let's just go and connect on Ethernet and see if that works. I did plug Ethernet in, so let's see if, there we go, we're connected. So we'll just go next. And now I think she's going to do her full update. Oliver Donovan has a good question. So I think and I'm seeing this because I got somebody else, another company wrote in the other day asking me to take a look at their PC. This form factor, minus the game controllers, IT professionals love this form factor. And the reason they love this form factor is because it's very portable, but you have like the full computer that you can take with you, so it's something that's easier to carry around with, kind of throw it in the toolbox. Their other machine is like really super rugged. I'm having a hard time with the keyboard. I thought I was going to have a better time with the keyboard, but I'm not. I'm having a hard time. So bear with me here. I'm just logging into my Outlook account here. And, and it is a touch display, by the way. You know what I wonder is if maybe this number pad is not working correctly. No, it is right. Let's see. Let's see what it takes. There it goes. Okay. And it does not have it doesn't appear to have a fingerprint reader on it, by the way. And what I'm going to do, because I believe it's in the proximity here, is I'm just going to grab my hard drive that has all the games on it and stuff. And we'll plug that in real quick. It's getting late already, because it's 3:30. Time really does fly. So where did that? Here it is. I mean, it's handheld, but it's a little less handheld than I think it would appear in a picture. I mean, it's pretty big. Excuse me. All right. And I'm finding, too, that Windows asks you more and more questions. Like, I just want to use my computer. I don't need to, like, give you my firstborn here. I don't want to back up my files. And I'm going to plug in this external hard drive here in a second as well. But yeah, I think the IT people really like these because you could get, I mean, think about it. You get like a full i5 computer that you can fit in your, not in your pocket, but you could easily fit it in your, a little tiny backpack or something. And this is, so to put this in perspective, this computer is not as powerful as the XPS 13 we just reviewed, but it is as powerful as one you would have bought 6 months ago. But it's in a much smaller form factor. Their other one actually has a RS-232 serial port built in, which I thought was cool. And I think the keyboard is backlit too, by the way. And it's doing its updates here. And some other good thoughts on this. So some people say it's good that anything that can run PowerPoint in a bag is good. Ryan D has the original, more convenient than a full laptop, and it's good for Steam games. So there's some good feedback there. I just like the novelty of them. I think they're kind of cool. And I think there's been this desire, for a long time for a handheld Windows gaming machine. And we've seen a lot of failed efforts on Kickstarter and everything. And this one's legit. It's real. It's here. So we'll let this thing download its updates. The good news is that I have a much faster internet connection now, so it won't take as long. And a much more stable connection, even better. Oh, here we are. We are up. Okay, so now I'm just going to go grab Steam real quick. There's a little PDF on here. So now I'm using so I'm going to switch the game controller into controller mode. And there is a little touchpad here. Oops. So the touchpad works as you would expect it to. Let me zoom in on the screen a little bit. And this is a PDF file that they included. Let's get the camera situated here. Oops. All right, let me zoom out just a tad. And we'll bump the brightness up on the camera slightly, or iris, as we used to say at the cable TV studio. And let's see, so there's some instructions on the TDP. I'll see if there's anything in English here. Here we go. How to adjust the TDP. Press the power button. Okay, so it looks like this will be something we'll want to do. I don't know what mode it's in by default, but you want to set it for high performance mode, 25 watts. That'll obviously eat up the battery more. So let's do that real quick. Press the power button and hold down the delete key. Okay, so let's do that. All right, so let's go. So yeah, we've got, this is Ice Lake. i5 1035 G7, as expected, 16 gigs of RAM. The memory is DDR4 at 3200 megahertz. And it looks like there is a SATA thing in here because there's, unless it auto detects, because it's saying there's an NVMe and not a SATA. I'm going to have to double check with them on that. Okay, so the TDP mode is currently set at the higher setting. So its configurable is up. Yeah, up is the high setting. So we are at the max performance already. So we're not going to touch any of that. Unless you think I need to. Can you see that? Let me zoom in on that. Yeah, so it's set at the setting that they said is the 25 watt profile, so I'm going to just leave it alone. And we are going to try Linux on it later during the review process. And then I've got an eGPU. I don't have time to play with it today, but I have an AMD processor or a GPU in one of them over there. So we'll give that a shot. I don't want to recover. Timothy Harris wants to know, is the keyboard usable? Not really. It started usable. Like the keys are big. Here, I'll give you the overhead. Uh-oh, I think something happened here. The keys are big, but the numbers are small. So, and I'm finding too, like like where the home row is, like my pinky is resting on the enter key, whereas normally the pinky would be resting on the semicolon. So, you know, it's taken a little bit of getting used to. All right, I need to, oh, no. Well, I did not mean to do that. I think I just like erased everything and now it's going to start over again. I don't know why I did that. So I didn't do anything in the BIOS. It's like, and I just hit the wrong button and now it's like erasing everything. Oh well, I got a few more minutes. Let's see what. Maybe not. This might do it for today, everybody. I'll leave you on a cliffhanger. Let's see. I just got to see what time my call is happening here. Hang on, folks. Well, we got a few minutes here. Let's see what happens. I do have to upload the wrap-up in a little bit. All right, that was Jake texting me. Jake's going to come by and pick it up in a little bit. And then I've got messages from people. Hang on a second here, folks. Okay. Almost done. I think I'm going to have to go through that whole setup process again. And I'm not sure why it dumped me into recovery mode. And the one thing you're probably noticing here is that the screen is sideways. So this is, I don't know what it is about their systems, but their displays are always oriented, like they force the orientation a different way. So oftentimes when you get these screens up, you see this. And that fan's running. Timothy, yes, you have a very good point. I didn't even think about that. The WASD keys are fine, actually. So yeah, I will say that the W, yeah, I guess it does work. I mean, the W is offset a little bit more than I'm used to. But I think it's doable. Yeah, the W, so usually the W is more, it's more kind of, here, let me get my overhead view here. The W is more off to the side here. But I think you could get used to that. I just tried touch typing on it, and it was a little tricky for me. So David Bound is wondering, how much faster is the upload now? So I will put this into perspective. It used to take me, and this is what has been so great about this, it used to take me about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour to upload a video. So typically my videos, let's say we have a good like 20-minute video, about 2 or 3 gigabytes, about 45 minutes to an hour and 20, depending on conditions. Now, 45 seconds. I mean, can you imagine? So, and a great example would be like for tonight's, yeah, it looks like we're starting over again. So tonight's wrap-up video, you know, there would be some days where these tend to be the longer ones the longer type of video that I do. So those tend to be, you know, usually 3 gigs and change, especially the old ones that used to go 40 minutes. And I would have to finish not only shooting the video, but having it edited and ready to upload by like 3 or 3:30. And now I can be done at 6 and still get it up in time. So like my deadline, I like to have my deadline be about 6:45 p.m. Russell Dye is wondering about the. I'm assuming you mean the new 4K thing. Yes. However, I don't have anything over the air right now that supports the new device. So I'm sure I'll get one, and as soon as I can get a signal that's ATSC 3.0, I will definitely try to do that. David Bound says those are 1080p. Yes. So if when I eventually go to 4K, that will obviously be a little slower, or the file will be larger, but it still is pretty quick. And you know what? If it's an extra minute, I can handle that, right? And the big thing too, on top of the upload speed, which is a great benefit. I mean, I get an extra hour in the day. But on top of the upload speed, the other great benefit that I've been able to achieve here is consistency of the connection. And I'm helping out some friends on a little consulting gig. They're doing a live stream, and even that's better. So, I've been doing a lot with this vMix call. So I use vMix for my live production. And one of the features of vMix is that it has its own, so it's kind of like Skype, but it's just made for vMix. And, oh yeah, it looks like we're starting over again from scratch here. So I can have people dial into the system here. So basically, we can run the entire production with no one here, right? Like I could be here operating, but the host is at one place and the guests are at other places. And they can all dial in with vMix call into the system here, and then we can push it back out again. And so I'm able to get them all in at the highest video quality. So vMix call does 720p at 2 megabits max, which is fine for a live stream. And then if they have vMix installed in their computer, you could go at a higher resolution and bit rate, usually like 4 or something like that. And then I'm pushing it back out, right? So pushing back out video to each of them individually at megabit a piece or so, streaming out, so after all this stuff coming in and out, I mean, I'm probably pushing 15, 20 megabits out the door. No big deal, because it's a straight fiber shot to the head end. And the best part about all this is that I've got so much bandwidth left. So in addition to the 2 gig symmetrical line I've got, I have another 1 gig leg that I'm not even using yet. I don't even know what to do with it. So it's just amazing. But the consistency, David, is exactly it. I mean, the fact that I'm not going to say it's as reliable as a data center, because it isn't. And I'll give you a great example of why it wouldn't be. So I live in a kind of a wooded area. So my signal is it's directly connected to the head end. It's basically like having a big long Ethernet cable. But just yesterday, thankfully not on my row, but just this morning actually, a tree went down on the other side of town and took out all the wires. So if a tree falls down between me and the town where the thing is located 6 miles away, I'm still out of luck, right? Most of the wiring is not underground. But it's from when the connection's up and there's no trees falling on the wires, it's very reliable. So it's been really good. And then yesterday, as we were practicing our little live stream, the power went out, but again, no big deal because I'm shot right in. So they have backup power down there. I've got backup power here. So again, as long as the connection is stable, we're in good shape. Yeah, so I'm going to type in my temporary password here, or temporary account. Yeah, so I'm having trouble just like with my fingers aligning on the keyboard. That's my only gripe. Because it is, I mean, you can only do so much with this kind of thing, right? And the numbers are really tiny. So if I type those numbers in. But there is an it'll pull up the on-screen keyboard too if you want that instead. Okay, so now we're going to get into there. I'm going to create my PIN again. And hopefully when it reboots again, it's not going to be an issue. Okay. David says it's been windy. Yeah, we had a bunch of wind yesterday. Last night it was like blowing. So I've got a big old generator now. So last night, like between 2 and 3 is when I think that tree came down. So the generator was on for a while. It woke me up. Because the generator, the windows are closed. It's not like blowing into the house, but the generator is right outside my bedroom window. So when that thing kicks on, I know it. All right, let's see how we do here. I'm just checking to see if I have another call to go on to here. All right, let's do that later. Yes, we did this already. Bright Canvas is wondering on the Amazon chat, how much storage? This one's got 512 gigs, and I'm assuming that that's what it comes with by default. So, from a price standpoint, like you look at this thing like, wow, it's expensive. But I don't think it's not that far off from what a laptop would cost you. You don't get the 1080p display, obviously. And then the controller, let's see, X input. Does it support X input? It doesn't say, but I have a way of testing for that in a second. So let's wait for this to finish coming up here. And then I will download the little gamepad tester that I use. I'm pretty sure it's X input because it looks like, they have the color scheme on there for the Xbox controller. But we'll take a look here once that updates. And then I'll try to do a quick benchmark, and then I'm probably going to have to run. I've got dogs to walk, conference calls to go on. BB Garnett had 55. Yeah, we had a couple of gusts like that last night in Minnesota on Halloween. So we probably got that win from you. Roman has a good point. There is no webcam on this. You are correct. And actually, their last one didn't have one either. So you're not making any Zoom calls on this. I better make a note of that. But you are correct about that. So we got to wait for this thing to finish up its whatever it is. I would like to run that 3D Mark Wildlife benchmark on it real quick, just so you can see something. But I will find out in a few minutes here if I have to be on this next call. Okay, so we're good here. So that is good. And hopefully we don't have to go through that process again. And it looks like they've got like a Steam thing already on here. I'm just going to go download Steam, though, from, what the heck, let's just click on that and see what happens. It's verified publisher, so we'll get Steam installed on here. Oops. It's nice, though, having this trackpad in here because that at least makes it easier to navigate. And let's try the game controller tester so we can see if this is, in fact, an X input device. So I'll do a quick search for that. Oops. See how much trouble I have in typing? I keep hitting the delete key. And, it's just small. But I've got Game Pass, so how cool is that, right? You got like Game Pass on here. You can just get a bunch of free stuff on your little handheld. I'm guessing the battery life on this TDP, this thermal profile, is not going to be great. So I would say you're probably getting like original Nintendo Switch battery life. And Bright Canvas is wondering, would you say that this would work as a streamer on the go? Yes, so within reason. he's asking if it would be good for a streaming production device. And I would say within reason. So you could run OBS on here. You know, you've got all the Intel QuickSync stuff. So, you know, I think you should be able to do some basic streaming with it. You got Ethernet on here too, which is great. So you don't have to plug in a dongle. This does appear to be an X input controller. So this little app here called Game Controller Tester detects X input devices, and this is showing up. So I think we're good on the X input. And the analog sticks have some sensitivity to them. It's good. Actually, they feel really nice. And they click. They got clickable sticks, which is great because they haven't done those before in these things. The only issue when you're on Ethernet and you're trying to use the game controller is that the cable's getting in the way of using the right stick here. So that's my only gripe so far. So, you know, Wi-Fi for most of it. All right, let's run Steam here, and we'll try to get that benchmark going real quick. Just gotta wait for that to finish installing. But yeah, you could run OBS on this, no problem. You got 16 gigs of RAM. You've got the i5 with the G7 graphics. You'll have all the built-in Intel video encoding and decoding. The Ethernet, I think, is a big deal, having gigabit just on the device itself. You got the Thunderbolt, so you can do all sorts of stuff with that too. So yeah, I think this could be a good little, you know, this might be one thing to look at with it. Now, I run vMix, which really prefers that you have a discrete GPU. So it may not be good for vMix, but I think it would probably do well for other stuff. And bear with me, folks. Let me just get the number typed in here. All right, there we go. And I'm just going to type. Okay. All right, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in my hard drive that I've got some games installed on and the benchmark tool. And we'll pop that in and just see what we get. And you got two USB-C ports in the back. I mean, how much more could you want? I mean, it really is like a little, I mean, it's a little laptop. Like, I don't want to call it pocket laptop because it's not quite a, like, this is their other one. This is like the comparison. So this is a pocket device. This is maybe I would call this a pocketbook PC. I mean, it's a category that doesn't really exist in, you know, from the mainstream manufacturers, right? So it's a very unique thing. All right, so what I'm going to do now is just point this at my downloads, or my external drive here, add library folder, and we'll go to D. And why is there nothing on this drive? This drive has games on it. Did I erase it? I don't think it detected it. There it goes. It's on E. So we'll just go back here and go to E. There's a D drive on it. They must have partitioned something else on here, so I got to check in on that. Okay. Oops. Almost there. Drive E. It's nice having the trackpad on here. I actually prefer that than using the joystick. You can use the joystick if you want, but I kind of like having the clicker thing there. All right, so let's go and look at 3D Mark real quick. And we'll just launch that. And something's downloading here. I agree. Oh, it's an update. All right, we'll let that load up real quick. Roman says this is somewhere between a UMPC and a netbook. I would say you're right. I had a netbook actually. You know, now that I think about it, I had a netbook almost exactly this size. I had that little Dell that was out years ago. I don't know what happened to that thing. I loved that little laptop. And what I did with that Dell, it was running with an Atom processor, and I Hackintoshed it, and I had it running OS X. It was like the coolest little Mac I've ever owned with a Dell badge on it. It was great. Username here remembers having a HP netbook. Yeah, so it looks like the netbook is probably the best size. And unlike the netbook, you've got no performance compromises here. This is like the real deal, right? So it looks like it's updating 3D Mark here. So once that's done, we'll see how it performs. Username says having 16 gigs of the dream. Yeah, 16 gigs of RAM, right? I mean, no compromises, i5 chip on this thing. It's good. That fan's kicking on a lot, and it's not, I mean, it's not like really noisy, but it's certainly going to be audible. And let's launch. Now, I don't know how it's going to handle the benchmark, because I'm pretty sure this benchmark is like a 1440p benchmark. So I think it's going to render it and scale down. So that'll be something Jake's going to have to play with. And Ryan had a Asus Triple E PC 700. And Veraxion had the Asus 701. They had some good ones out there. David Bound had a netbook, converted it to Linux. And Roman says they were running that Windows 7 Starter Edition that wouldn't let you, right? They were running all these low-end things. But you know what, though? It's like, even today, like you find something really cheap, but if it does what you want it to do, even if you could run like command line whatever on it, you know? So, all right, so this is, can I run this? I'm going to run this unlimited, and that way, that's how I run all these tests, actually. So it'll render at 1440p, but it's going to do that inside the GPU, so our display resolution shouldn't matter. So you're not going to get the pretty demo running, but we'll get a feel for what this thing could work. Philippe Anderson says, can you flash this with Android? Probably not, because I don't know. Well, I guess you could probably get like the Intel Android maybe. I mean, it's a PC, so if you could figure out a way to get your PC to boot up Android, this could too. Now, if you don't like bezels, you're not going to like this. The bezels are definitely dated on it. So, you know, if they had gone with a different display, you could have filled up that whole space, right? Now, this is normal. So the way this test works is that it's rendering all the frames essentially outside the video output. So it's rendering them through the GPU. And this is how I run it across all platforms. So even on the mobile devices, like the number we get will be consistent with those. And if you can hear the fan's cooking on that thing. So it's going to make some noise. But you know, it's good that it makes noise, because it's got a lot of, doesn't have a lot of room to cool things down. So Tamil wants to know what GPU it has. This is Intel Iris graphics. So no discrete GPU on this. But you can plug in one, because it's got a Thunderbolt 3 port. And Ryan D says, netbooks have evolved into ultrabooks. They sure have. OK, so here's our score. I got a validation warning, but I think that's because, oh, the graphics driver is not approved. So maybe we want to update that driver. So this is all I'll say is a preliminary result. So I should probably download the latest drivers for the Intel graphics. But I should see, let me pull up my benchmarks here. And I will, by the way, if I crash, I will see you all later. I'm clicking on this thing that sometimes crashes my system. So let's pull it in here and see what we get. And did we crash? Did we crash? Didn't crash. Good. OK, so hang on a second. Now, if you go to Lon.TV/benchmarks, you can follow along with what I'm about to show you. And I just need to make sure my meeting here is not happening yet. OK, we're good. All right. So let me go over to my benchmark sheet. And we're going to go to wildlife. Oops. OK, so here we go. And you notice my note there to myself is run the unlimited mode, because that's what we like to run this as. OK, so by comparison, yep, we are right on the money where I thought we would be. So the Acer Spin 5, which has the i7 variant of this, This is the i5, but it has the same graphics. So 10.3.5 G7, I think is the one. I'll double check that. 6,206, and the frames per second are 37.16. So it is performing, as you would expect, at least on this test. And I think as Jake runs some of the other ones, you'll see that it comes in around there as well. So that's good. That's a good first sign here that this thing will perform as it should. And I would guess the only reason why we're seeing a slightly lower score is that it's got an i5 versus an i7. You'll see that across the test. So computationally, the i5 is a little below the i7, but it makes up for it in other areas there. Temperature. Let's take a look at temperature. All right, temperature. Oops. Temperature is running about 60 C. And it's pretty consistent. So I don't know if that means it's throttling or if that's just what it runs at, but 60 C, which is what? That's like 100 and something Fahrenheit. So we'll have more details on that when we get further into it. I have no idea. I can't answer this question. Maybe somebody else can answer. I'm guessing it's a four-channel Thunderbolt, but I don't know if it's got OPI 4GTS. I do not know that. So there you go. All right. So that is that. Why don't we try real quick. Let's connect up a controller here. And then I have to go right after this. So Jake's going to do all the other games, but one that I know I can get working quickly is our favorite here, No Man's Sky. So let's do that one real quick. And I'm just going to go to the Bluetooth settings, and we're going to pair up this Xbox controller with it, just so I don't have to hold it the whole time. Well, I probably should hold it, right? Let's forego that. Yeah, I should hold this and do the handheld mode. All right, so let's go in to the Steam library here. And we'll do a quick No Man's Sky session here. It looks like it's going to update itself, or update its... It's going to be a little tricky with that Ethernet thing in the middle there, but let's see how it works. What it's doing right now is just downloading my save game and syncing up with the cloud. And let's see what happens. Give it a second here. So yeah, so username says the game is very addictive. You know what I did is I got through a lot of the stuff that, I wanted to get access to the portals and all that. So like I spent a lot of time kind of like doing that whole thing. And so I haven't been playing as much of it. I liken it to like the sci-fi version of Animal Crossing. Like you're never done with whatever it is you're trying to do. So that's how I kind of liken it. It's like that. And it looks like Catchy got the answer to his question, in case you're wondering. It's listed as OPI 4GT. Yeah, it is a cool little device. Yeah, I think if you were to like go out and get, no GPU, but get like the nicest little i5, i7 thing you could find, this would be it, right? You know what I'm going to do while that's thinking about whatever it is it's thinking about? I'm going to go grab, and it's definitely behind on its Windows updates also, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of the updating on this thing. Let's go over and grab fraps so we can get the frames per second visible. And Tamil, we're not going to get to GTA 5 today, but we will have it in the full review, so don't worry, we'll be able to do that. But I will say, I know that likely your GTA 5 experience with this, because I've seen it on other Iris Plus devices, you should be able to get about 35, 40 frames per second, maybe a little bit more, low settings at its 720p 720p resolution. Because remember, this is not a super powerful device. Now, I'm guessing that No Man's Sky is going to try to render at 1080p initially. So let's see what happens when we get going here. Let me just load up Fraps real quick. Get that going. Now, I'll tell you, the display really holds itself in place nicely, too. It does well there. Okay, let's go back to Steam here. I've got just a little bit of time. Steam is asking me a question. Let's minimize you. Agree. Yes. And it's got to do something else now. David is joining us from France. Welcome from France. Roman's asking, how would this compare to the HP Stream 7? Yeah, so I haven't seen one of those in a long time. I would say it's probably smaller than, because like the Stream 11 is what I'd be thinking about, and it's definitely smaller than that. And I'll load up my save game here. I'm going to probably turn the display down to 720p in a minute. And it doesn't look like Fraps is getting our thing up here, so let's wait for this to load up. The fan is definitely cooking on this thing. And right now I've got Ethernet attached. I was having trouble getting it on the Wi-Fi, so I will revisit that. And if this is like any of the other Iris Pluses we've looked at, I'm pretty sure at the native resolution of this display here that we should have a pretty good run here. So let's take a look and see. And I think at the moment it's probably running on a downsized, down-converted 1080p. So it'll be a little slow here initially. But let's double check. So I'm going to hit the start button. And we'll go into our video options here. Oh, it is 720p. Perfect. All right. Yeah, not bad, right? I landed on this weird planet. The last time we were all together, I landed on this weird planet. The controls are good. It's a little laggy. I am also running this on an external hard drive, so that might have some impact here too. But yeah, portable, not streaming, right? You could just pop it in there. All right, so now let me go shift. So I'm not getting the frames per second, which I really wanted to see here. So let's go into that. So we'll go to, I'm just going to pull up the Steam one. Settings, there we go. And in-game frames per second counter, we're going to go top left. Okay. And it's a little bit of letterboxing because this is running at 720p, but the display is an 800 display. So we're running at about, let me get some recording done here so I can. So this is running at about 30, actually it's going, yeah, about 45 right here. And it's definitely varying quite a bit, although again, we're on the planet's surface and there's likely going to be a little bit of load in here. But yeah, we're doing about 40, 50, like it drops down to 30. See that? Like you get a little bit of lag hit, you know? And this game is very much a variable kind of performance game. Like you'll see it do really, even on my big PC upstairs, especially when I'm in VR. But yeah, it's about 50 right now. That's what I'm getting. And actually on the ground in this game, to get 50 anywhere is pretty good. So this is impressive. I mean, this is totally playable. Now, I don't know what the battery life would be like, right? We'll have to test that. So you're probably going to want to have a plug to plug in somewhere. But I was on this like long flight to Germany last year, and I had an AC outlet there, so I could have, you know, just been playing this handheld. The screen looks great. And, you know, this is the thing, like you think, oh, 720p, it's so awful. But, you know, when you have a 720p display this small, by the way, there's no rumble, so you don't get the rumble feature. When you have a 720p display this small, it feels fine. Here, let's go over to this little moon back here. So we'll line up and, yeah, we'll go to that planet. Oops. And we'll just do a quick little warp over there. But yeah, as username says here, it's not a very well optimized game. It certainly isn't. Let me just hit the record for a second there. This is running at about 50 frames per second now, so you get the best performance in this game when you're in space. But it feels good. Like I said, the only issue I've got is I've got it hooked up to Ethernet right now, so not ideal if you want to use the game controller because your finger's going to be wrapped around the cable. And the fan, of course, is hauling. But it's not that loud. I mean, it's not bad. It doesn't feel hot. I'm feeling some heat, like right in here, maybe. All right, and I'm trying to take me back to my capital ship, but I just want to go land on the planet real quick here. So let's. And you know, because it kind of works as its own stand, if you don't like these controls, you can just put it down and use the game controller, right? Like you don't have to use these controls all the time because it is kind of its own stand. Yeah, so a little bit of issues when you load in here, but otherwise not bad. We're just going to go land on this planet. Let me just hit the record button here. Yeah, this is the kind of game, like when I was a kid, I would have been living in all day long. And the VR is also not very well optimized on a bigger PC. It's got so much potential, the VR. It's just a shame it's not like running all that great. But I haven't tried it since the new update. So they have a new update now that like really upped the graphical fidelity. So there you go. So a little bit of that, but not bad. And we'll just stop here and we'll land our ship. And we'll get out of the ship. Yeah, so we're about 30 or 40 frames per second. Not bad. Yeah, I'm going to be spending a lot more time in this game again, I think. Some big creatures on this planet. He's checking me out up there. And that planet up there, the one with the rings, you can just fly to that. Put a base on there, whatever you want to do. You can do whatever you want. All right, cool. All right, so that's good for footage. And Wolfactors wants to know what game is it? This is called No Man's Sky. And if you like games without like any real need to, like you can just hang out in the game and do whatever you want. There's the multiplayer now is really cool. Yeah, a little bit of jumpiness to these controls right now. And I just wanted to see what the graphics settings were at on this. Graphics options. I'm assuming it's all on, yes, it's all standard. Okay. Low settings. Perfect. Yeah, I'm going to call this one like 30 to 40 frames per second. Okay. Cool beans. All right. Good stuff. All right. Well, everybody, I have to get moving here in a second. But we're going to do a full review of this thing. There's more to come on this. And we'll spend some time with it because we got to go through all the different machinations there and everything with it. So there's a lot to this. You've got the Thunderbolt. You've got some gameplay footage. We probably want to try out some Linux stuff. Got to update everything. So it's good stuff. So we will apply. Yeah. So unfortunately, I'm out of time, but we're going to get all that in. We'll try a bunch of different games as we always do. And we'll get some fighting games. I don't think the fighting games like Street Fighter Alpha or 5 or whatever will run as great because you need that one really running at 60. But, 30-ish FPS, not bad. 30, 35. I think that's what you'll get from other stuff as well. Super Chat, thank you very much to Turbo TV for your, looks like a £1 contribution. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And let me pull up the thing here, make sure I didn't miss anybody else. So yeah, this will be kind of fun. Zulia wants to know, was I able to get a 3080? No, nope, have not gotten any of those. I haven't even tried really. I want to get one of the new Xboxes too, but I haven't really made an effort, which I need to do. But yeah, we'll definitely have, we'll test out a GPU on there. I have an AMD one. I'll probably be using that. That's the fastest one I have available at the moment. I used to have the 1080 in here, but that one's now the production computers thing there. So username says I got to buy the new Doom. Yeah, I've got that one. I'll definitely, I do have it. I haven't played it yet, but I do have that one. And Wolf Factor definitely, yeah, we'll have a full review of this coming up shortly. It's going to be available for purchase soon as well. So definitely have a look at it. All right, everybody, I've got to run because my next call is in like 20 minutes. And I got to check in on the family, and I got to take the dog out for a walk. I've got all sorts of stuff I got to do. So thank you all for tuning in to our unboxings. Had a very productive afternoon. So we've got, on the Extras channel, you'll see these unboxings up very shortly. And then, of course, we'll have reviews up on the main channel a little bit later. So there you go. All right, so we might be back. Actually, we might come back to this because maybe when I get it back from Jake, I will live stream the eGPU part of it and a few of the other things that we might want to check out. So we'll go on from there. And Wolf Factor, thank you very much for your Super Chat contribution as well. It's very nice of you. I appreciate that. And both of you, by the way, next week we'll get you and the last one there. Who else was it? Let me make sure I get everyone's names right here. You and Turbo TV. Will be announced on the next wrap-up because I just shot the one for today. So you came in after that one. But yeah, good stuff. All right, everybody. I will see you all soon. Thank you for tuning in. And I will be streaming again probably later in the week. So tomorrow is Election Day. Make sure you vote if you are in the U.S. I have voted already. And instead of going to vote, I'm going to go get a COVID test because my daughter was in contact with somebody. So they're getting tested on Wednesday. I'm doing the self-serve thing tomorrow. We should be fine, but we're all quarantined until we get tested. So that's the excitement for this week. But I will be probably back maybe like on Wednesday or Thursday. So be on the lookout. All right. So thank you all. We'll catch you all very soon on the next stream. Bye-bye.